Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind Dale, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Oh, hey. Hey, that's my cue. I'm supposed to switch the camera over when the song stops, and I was like, yeah, alright, what song's up next? Nope. Nope. No song's up next. I am. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. I'm Gaarawarr. With me today in the production booth, we're calling it a production booth now, is Gabe. Gabe's in the production booth. Gabe's going to be grabbing questions. Watching out for chat and telling me when I do things that I'm not supposed to do. Yeah. Today's topic for the tutorial show, as always, right after an event starts, is the event. So we're going to talk about how events in general work. We're going to talk about Founders Day specifically, and we're going to go over the 3 champions in this event. I don't remember their names. No, I remember the names. Sergeant Knox, Nahara, and the new one. Oh my god, Strongheart. See, I'm like, oh, I'm going to remember it. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Oh, boy. Boy. All right. First off, because it's rainy in Kentucky, happy birthday to Man from the Hand's youngest, who's turning 5. Who turned 5 on Thursday, but they were celebrating today. Hey. That's all I can do. It's raining. It's the best I can help. All right. So we're going to talk about Founders Day and events. Let's start with just events in general. So whenever you, as a new player, when you start the game, normally, like, your event banner is going to look something a little more like this on the side with Grand Tour at the top. Whenever an event pops off, though, it goes to the top because it wants you to know, hey, this should be more or less your top priority. Because events are how you earn new champions. There's 3 champions in every event, so that can help you flesh out your roster pretty quickly. And you can get gear for them. You can get gear for them by doing stuff in the event, and, well, everybody wants a nicely geared champion, right? I don't know. My eyes are watering. I'm crying. So, that's what events offer. That's kind of their purpose. They exist to introduce new champions and to get you gear for them. They can pick up. You can pick up champions from previous years, but only from the 2 prior years. We are in year 6. That means there's 3 champions that came in years 1, 2, and 3 that aren't available in the event. You can now only get those champions from time gates. So if you see, like, if you're opening up the event achievement list and you see them and are wondering, why can't I unlock them? It's because there's only ever 3 champions at a time in an event. You go do the time gates for the rest. Events are basically mini campaigns. So if you're new, you've at least seen the Sword Coast. You've seen that you do adventures and there's variants to those adventures. And as you do them, you get favor up here at the top right. Events work at the same way. Oh no, I'm gonna sneeze. Events work in the same way. Man, I'm fighting it. So you start off with no favor. As you do the event, you push through it, you push deeper, you gain gold, you earn favor, and favor then makes things easier for you in the event. Favor is what controls the difficulty rating for variants, and in an event specifically, you really don't want to do a variant unless it shows as difficulty easy, which is the green color. That takes getting to to get all of them easy, it takes getting it to about E08. In the E08 favor range, we do scientific notation in this house. Press Y on your keyboard to turn scientific notation on, or go into your settings. EO8 favor is going to be roughly where you want. If you really want to breeze through and you're pushing really easily, E10 is going to make you smoke every variant. It's not going to be an issue. All right, so if we look at Founders Day, you'll see, hey, it's just one adventure node on the Sword Coast. And there will be a little bubble that tells you things you can loot and obviously or get from here, and obviously there's going to be a lot more than the 3 I have left, but that's because I did everything else already. Up here you'll see whatever favor mount you have. I have like a lot. You know, this is just experienced player things, folks. Don't worry. Your number may be smaller, but that's fine. As long as you can get to the E8 range, you're going to be able to do everything. And then underneath that you'll see a little symbol with a number and a word. Those are event tokens. This event, they're towels. Don't forget your towel, folks. I know where mine is. It's right over there. Don't forget your towels, folks. Towels are your event currency that you earn over time. You earn 1 every 25 seconds that the event is active. Doesn't matter if you're in an adventure or not. They do drop while you're killing things, but right now I'm not killing anything. But when I go in, they're going to drop a little faster until they catch me up to what I was supposed to have earned while I wasn't killing anything. Nice little mechanic there. You will earn enough over the course of the event. The events last for 12 days. This one started on Wednesday the 28th. It's going to end on Monday the 10th at noon, Pacifically speaking. So between now and then, you will have plenty of time to earn enough tokens to do all of the variants, unlock all of the champions, do all the variants, and get some free plays in for them to get some extra gear. Okay. Now another way you can earn tokens, though, is just by popping bounty contracts. They come out of chests. So, you know, as you're earning gems and spending gems on chests in the shop, which is what you should be doing, when you open them, you will get bounty contracts as one of the consumables, and opening them during an event gets you extra event tokens. This is a kind of an event hack that experienced players will give you, is save them all up for an event, open them all when the event starts, enjoy, because you use those tokens. If you're wondering what they're for, you use them to start your adventures. There is a cost. You can see it costs 500 towels to do this free play, or 2,500, which is the max cost for a free play. Every time you do a free play, the cost goes up by 500 until you get to 2,500. Then it stops. So each of the variants is going to have a cost as well. So they're trying to basically limit the amount of gear you can earn just from the event. Of course, bounty contracts ruins their math in a big, big way. But, you know, oh well, they can't change it now. They can't change it now. So when you open your adventure node, you'll see you have Sergeant Knox, Nahara, Strongheart. It's the same adventure, though. It's all party crashers. That's because you're getting the same enemies and you're fighting the same bosses. What's changing between them is the formation layout. So as you can see down here in the right, at the bottom right, we have an interesting formation layout for Sergeant Knox with lots of adjacencies. There's even a column with 3 in it. This is a fantastic formation for pushing if what you have is a single beefy tank. Okay, this just does a lot of the things that champions want you to do by having everything crushed up together like that. Nahara has a much different situation. She does have a lot of adjacencies. Again, single tank formation or frontline. But then there's a couple extra hanging out. This is also a good formation for pushing, depending on what champions you're using. This can be solid as well. And then Strongheart. This is their winged helm, or alternately, this is one of the space aliens from Galaga, or Space Invaders. This is more of a 2-champion frontline, or 2-tank frontline. Still a decent number of adjacencies, so this is still a good pushing formation. And this just goes to show you that there can be a lot of different setups and that still create good pushing formations. Sometimes with sometimes a 2-tank frontline is actually better, because if you don't have a really beefy tank that can handle a lot of enemies hitting them while you're ramping up your damage to kill them, having 2 is going to split that damage. It's going to help you last longer. It's going to help you get to those ramp up points, and it'll let you push further. Sometimes. That's kind of part of what you have to figure out, which one's going to work best for you. When you do these the first time, the reward is the champion themselves. That's the first thing you unlock, and you do each of these adventures. Those should be the first 3 things you do in an event. Grab those champions. You don't want to stop at completing Area 50 because you're trying to earn favor, because favor is going to make everything else easier. So whenever you do these, try to push deep. Do that as your favor run to treat each of these, because they're inexpensive. Like the unlock adventures are like 25 tokens, 100 tokens. So getting some inexpensive favor runs in, fantastic. Because after that, if you still don't have, if you haven't hit that at least minimum E8 watermark, high watermark for favor, you'll want to go do free plays before you dive into the variants. Okay. Because the favor for events really is just the big stick that you hit things with, right? It's going to give you everything you need to beat the variants, even if you don't have a lot of champion options. All right, so variants, 3 for each one. We're going to go over each of these in turn. Know that all variants follow a similar pattern. The first variant is going to have complete area 75 as the goal. The second one's going to be 125, and the third is going to be 175. And each one will go up in cost. Now, the base costs are shown at the newest one, 1,000, 2,500, and 5,000 tokens, while the prior years are discounted. They're 25% of the normal cost. It is because these cost tokens, again, this is why I recommend to people don't try to do these until they show as green. You don't want to waste your tokens attempting something that you're just not ready for yet. All of this big wall of text down here is what makes a variant difficult, and we need to read at least some of it to understand what's going on and to make a decision about how we're going to approach this and whether we can do it or not. Because sometimes even if a variant shows as green, you may not be able to do it, because again, all it's reading to give you that rating is your favor. It doesn't know how well you can build a formation, or what champions are going to be restricted, or what your gear is or isn't, right? It doesn't know any of that. So let's start off here with Neverwinter Defenders. Sergeant Knox starts in the formation. A lot of this is going to be that way. A lot of these events nowadays, the champion starts in the formation. And they're gonna, you have to leave them in because they're trying to use the variants to teach you how to use the champion. So Sergeant Knox starts in formation. He cannot be removed or removed. Now, when it says he cannot be removed, they're going to tell you where he starts down here in the formation layout. If you'll note, this isn't a little circle; it's a C for champion. So Sergeant Knox starts out as your tank in this variant. The damage of all champions increased by 50% if Celeste is in the formation, and an additional 50% if Makos is in the formation. However, enemy damage and speed is increased by 100%. So what they're teaching you here is that Sergeant Knox actually does better when he's in a formation with Makos and Celeste. They're all Neverwinter buddies. So having them in the formation with him is great. This is one of the things that makes Sergeant Knox a great new player champion, because as a new player, you're still using Celeste and Makos. Usually. So this isn't really a restriction. I mean, they're definitely giving you information, and enemy damage and speed is increased can be problematic, but they're just saying, hey, we're going to give you bonuses for putting Celeste and Makos in, and a lot of times you might have been using them already, so nice. After party, a pair of bearded devils join the formation. They're just here for the souvenirs. Quest goals are doubled. So this is where the bearded devils are going to be. That's the 2 X'd out spots. That means you're going to have 2 champions in the back just hanging out by themselves. So you need to make sure that they're champions who don't need to be adjacent to buff, right? But you're going to be down 2 champions in this formation. That means you're going to need a lot more power. And power, again, in events tends to come from favor if you don't have it somewhere else. So waiting for waiting for Blast from the Past to show is easy is going to give you enough favor to make After Party easy. Because usually what you want is for each empty slot that you can't fill in a formation, whether it's taken up by escorts like this, or whether maybe you just don't have enough champions because of the restrictions, try to earn an extra order of magnitude of favor. That's EO1. So try to earn just another 0 on the end of your favor total for each of those, and you'll be able to upgrade your champions more and get the power that you need that you would have been getting from the other 2 champions, right? Otherwise, again, as long as these show as easy, this one you might want to make sure that the third one shows is easy for this before doing this. But it shouldn't be overall a problem. You just have to overcome that lack of damage. Blast from the Past. Only champions with an int of 12 or higher can be used. Again, Sergeant Knox is starting out in the front. Each area zombies aligned with Valindra attack. They do not drop gold, nor do they count towards quest progress. And Valindra's Shadow Mantle replaces Zariel in Area 50. So what they do is they change the boss, and they add a bunch of zombies. Valindra's interesting. We'll put it that way. If you haven't encountered Valindra yet, Valindra is an armored boss, and she likes to rain down AoEs on you, on the whole party. She will just drop bombs on the whole party. So it can be challenging. It can be a very challenging fight. You're also going to be restricted here with int of 12 or higher. So that you might be out. You may not be able to put optimal champions in the formation, or you may not be able to fill a formation. If that happens, more favor. That's really the best way to do it. So, one of the things you can do here to get an idea of whether you can beat something with a restriction like this is in a free play, and like in a Sergeant Knox free play, build a formation that only uses champions with int with this requirement, int 12 or higher. Okay, and then see if you can get not just to 175 but to like 200. See if you can clear 200 with that formation, with the favor you have and the champions you have. If you can, great. Then you know you can go do Blast from the Past, even with a change in bosses, most likely. But if you can't, then just switch it over to a regular full formation and turn that into a favor run, and then try again on the next run, right? So you can test these things out in a free play, which you're gonna get isn't a waste, because you're gonna get favor from it, and favor's always good, because at the end of an event you're going to convert all this favor into a main campaign. It acts as a multiplier. So every EO1 you have is a 10% bonus to a campaign. So if you have E10, if you get to E10 favor, you get a 100% bonus to a campaign. That means the campaign of your choice doubles its favor when the event is done. Okay, so earning more favor is great. So try it out. Try to push in a deep in a free play. See if you can complete it. If you can't, hey, favor run. It's not a loss. All right, for Nahara, we start off with Durable Devils. Nahara starts in the formation. She can be moved, but not removed. So since she can be moved, they don't show you the C, because you can put her anywhere you want. Armored Imps appear in each area. They do not drop gold, nor do they count towards quest progress. So armored enemies, I mentioned this with Valinder, armored enemies have segmented health. So they have little health chunks that line up. You know, it's not just a smooth health bar. It's all these little chunks. And there's usually 2 layers, but not always. When they just make regular armored imps appear, they're probably going to have like 3 to 5 armored segments. And the armor shows up as a little shield over the thing. And that means you have to do a minimum amount of damage to them to remove 1 segment. So you have to hit them a lot. Now, the way Nahara works is anytime she doesn't kill an enemy, she attacks an enemy, and if she doesn't kill it, next time she attacks somebody that she hasn't attacked before, and also attacks them too. So she's basically just going to create lots of attacks and be able to destroy, hopefully, as long as you have the damage, all of that armor. They're basically just teaching you that, oh, she can attack a lot of things. Because she can. It's pretty wild. Double Trouble. Nahara starts in the formation, but she can be moved around, just not removed. Normal area requirements are doubled. Now, we saw this earlier, and I forgot to comment on it. Whenever they double the area requirements, it does mean it's going to take longer for you to complete the variant. However, it's almost a bonus, because if you're killing twice as many things, you're earning twice as much gold. So you're going to be able to level up your champions quicker, and that actually makes things easier. It's just going to be a little slower, but it's going to be easy. So Double Trouble, they're just doubling the area requirements. Again, I think that's just a bonus. I don't think it's a problem, but just know it's going to take a little bit longer to push through this variant. Barovian Bliss, the weather is foggy in all areas, so you're going to have a layer of fog kind of blocking your view. That is a weather effect, and there are champions out there, not in this event, but there are champions out there that have stuff that interacts with weather effects. Only champions with an int of 13 or higher and or Black Dice Society affiliation members may be used. So again, solid restrictions. You might be running a smaller formation. This is really trying to, if you have Black Dice Society members, to get you to use them, because it's a feature of Nahara that she can bring, that she can work with Black Dice Society members and bring them places with her. Each boss area features Strahd as an additional boss that must be defeated to progress. Double bosses is rough, generally speaking. Strahd is a pain. Do not even attempt Barovian Bliss unless it shows as green. And honestly, I mean, try to get E10 or more or higher favor. You're gonna need someone like Nahara, who's gonna hit multiple times. You might want any other champions that are going to help remove extra segments, if you have them, like a Human or an Esmeralda. You're going to need anything that can help you chew through an armored boss faster, or a segmented health boss faster. Because I can't remember if he's armored or just segmented. He's probably armored. Because Strahd's a pain. Crowd control, knockbacks. Man. Yeah, in the event, you've got stuns. If you've picked up, or in the season, if you've picked up Wolfgar already, stun Strahd, please. You do not want him attacking your formation. Yeah, anything you can get, you want to use. Fire off your ultimates, etc. But Strahd's a pain. Try to focus down the other boss first, then take Strahd out. With your ultimates, potentially. Strahd's annoying. Strahd's super annoying. And he should be. He's Strahd von Zarovich. Alright, folks. Strongheart. Oh, yeah. So don't worry if this one's... if you're not sure you can do this one, work on getting favor. You can always wait and like try to do it next weekend at the last second, like after you've used the week to try to get as much favor as possible. Like if you just don't think you can do it, you're gonna like if you're trying to get like to test this in a free play, not necessarily going to be as testable. You can try to build this in 13 formation, but you're going to want to try to be able to push to like, I don't know, 225, 250. Because Strahd is just a lot harder than regular bosses. All right, Strongheart's variants. Oath of Justice. Strongheart starts in the formation, but you can put him wherever you want. Only Stronghearts and Stronghearts. Only Stronghearts. No, only Strongheart and champions next to him can deal damage. This is just, hey, look, this is how Strongheart works. He only buffs people adjacent to him. So they're just like, hey, super simple. Make sure Strongheart's next to your DPS. So this isn't even a restriction, honestly. It's going to slow because that's the only people doing damage. It's going to slow your progress a little because you're not killing with everyone in the early levels, but other than that, it's not really a problem. Oath of Valor, once again, Strongheart in the formation. Only Strongheart and good champions can deal damage. Are you sensing a theme here? So you just want to make sure your primary DPS is a good champion, whether they're lawful good, neutral good, or chaotic good. Doesn't matter. Just check their alignment, because only good primary DPS is going to work here. The rest of your formation can be whatever. But just know that the fewer good champions you have in the formation, the slower your progress is going to be. Because again, if only your primary DPS is doing damage, it's going to take you longer to push. Outside that, though, still not really a restriction. It's just slowing you down, right? It's not making it harder. Strongheart starts in the formation again for Oath of Friendship, and this time only Strongheart and champions from the affiliation with the most members in the formation can deal damage. So Strongheart has this thing where he can join an affiliation. So what you want to do is kind of look at who has an affiliation tag and make sure you've got some of those in there. Hey, look, if you've picked up Companions of the Hall from this season already, there you go. But otherwise, once again, not really a restriction, just a challenge. These are just challenges to build a formation, as opposed to being restrictions. All right. We're going to go ahead and... Oh, I hope I clicked on Stronghearts. Did I? Nope, I clicked on Sergeant Knox's. Okay, fine. We'll do Sergeant Knox's formation. That was not what I was planning to do, but that's okay. Okay, so we're going to hop in. I'm going to go over the champions. Strongheart, the newest one, is right here. He's over in slot 11. Sergeant Knox is in slot 6. I know they're both heavily armored, but Sergeant Knox is the tank, not Strongheart. Strongheart is a support champion and a healing champion. Sergeant Knox is tank support. Nahara is down here in slot 3, and she's DPS speed, and we will talk about the difference between these things in a moment. What I'm going to do first... I do want to remind people, folks, if you have a question for me, I will be answering questions in the second half of the show, and Gabe is grabbing them from chat, but do please put question : in front of it. Otherwise, we're just going to assume you're asking chat, and it's not going to get answered later in the second half of the show. So let's talk about Strongheart first. I'm going to do these backwards. Because I'm going to gear up Strongheart. As you'll notice, I have no gear on Strongheart. I want to gear up Strongheart live at the start of the show, and then we'll talk about the other champions. Strongheart joins us from. He's one of the '80s gang. He was it was an action figure in the '80s. He may have showed up in the cartoon. I can't remember. He was in a couple adventure modules. He is you know, Warduke and Strongheart have issues with each other. Let's just put it that way. So not an affiliation member, but you know, comes at us from that group. So, oh no, I gotta change that. Human Paladin, Lawful good, healing support. Base attack is steel. Strongheart attacks the closest enemy with his sword. That's it. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing fancy. They do have a passive that makes their base crit chance 20%. I need to update my guide because I think I've been adding that 20% instead of just turning it to 20, which is my bad. Crit damage is 100%. These are new features in the game, so we're still getting used to them. Base ability is Justice Needs Champion. So this is the damage. This is the damage boost to anybody that's adjacent to Strongheart. So that just means you need to make sure that Strongheart is next to your primary DPS, whoever the DPS champion is that you're trying to focus all your damage on, because that's the way this works. One champion should be doing all of your damage, basically. Season Night. This season quest progress made by Strongheart's party is increased by 100%. He's the season champion, he's the champion for all seasons. Let's put it that way. So season 4 is the 5 champions. These are the 5 season champions. But if you throw Strongheart into a group with them, these quests complete twice as fast. That's nice. That's real nice. He's even got a feat for that, which will make him complete 3 times as fast. Woo! So yeah, I mean, I'm already got a lot of them done already, but that's because I've experienced account. But for everybody else, this is going to be, I mean, it'll make it be done faster for me, but this is great. Yes, put Strongheart in your season formations that you're using to work on this stuff, because yes, please. So this is kind of the season version of Fen. Fen is the patron challenge progress champion. Now we have a Strongheart who does the season stuff. So, Courage to Stand. Strongheart heals champions affected by Justice Needs Champions every second. The amount will vary as you level them up and with other things that are going on. So this number may look small. Just know it's going to change. So this is a heal, but it's only healing adjacent. So if where you need your heals is your tank line, then you need to have them adjacent to your tanks. Doesn't have to be in the line with them, can be behind them, but just know he can only heal adjacent. So in a 3-tank front line, you're never going to be able to heal them all with Strongheart. So this makes Strongheart an interesting situational healer. It's just kind of a bonus because Paladin. But it also means if you already have your tank line getting heals or shields from somewhere, Strongheart could be healing your squishies in the back, which is good for someone like, Valindra, who AoEs your whole party. So Strongheart has an interesting conditional heal, or interesting heal that's just only adjacent, and that's cool. That's cool. The one downside to this is Strongheart doesn't heal themselves. Selfless, which could be a problem. So they need someone to heal them while they're healing everybody else. Now we're on to Righteous Might. Now this is the big ability for Strongheart. Strongheart's base ability is Justice Needs Champions. It's that buff, but Righteous Might is kind of the broken ability. So whenever Strongheart lands a critical hit, for the next 20 seconds, he increases the damage of Justice Needs Champions by 400%. So that's a 5x multiplier. So you're going to get 5 times the damage from that. Increases the healing amount of Courage to Stand by 100%, so doubles the healing, and reduces the base attack speed cooldown of himself and champions affected by Justice Needs Champions by a half a second. I want to be very clear here. Whenever he lands a crit, and it lasts for 20 seconds, it stacks, folks. It stacks. And it's not telling you here, but it stacks multiplicatively for the damage buff and the healing buff, and additively for the attack speed reduction. This is why I said this ability is kind of broken. The more you can get him to the crit, the more multipliers you can get. You get 2 crits. Well, suddenly you're doing a 25x damage bonus and a 4 times heal, and you're getting a second off of everybody's attack speed. And because it reduces his attack speed, it means he's attacking faster too, which means there's more of a chance of him critting again. It's a snowball ability, folks. It's a snowball ability. So Righteous Might, kind of a big deal. It's why earlier I'm going to just go ahead and go into feats right now. Hey, look, maybe I want both of his crit chance feats to get him critting every other attack. And then maybe I want to throw in, his Righteous Might feat. Because it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. So just know here's my tip to you, that this is going to make Strongheart a beast for you. All right, let's talk about Strongheart specializations. Valor's Call, a Just Quest, or Honorary Member. So, Valor's Call, Strongheart increases the damage bonus of Justice Needs champions by 100% for each good champion in the formation, and it stacks multiplicatively. So this is how all of these specs are going to work. They're going to boost damage by an amount per something, and it's going to stack multiplicatively. That's the good way. Unfortunately, here we're really going to need you to do some math. I know we don't like to do the math most of the time, but here we're going to have to do some math. Because they aren't straight comparisons. You can't just pick the highest number. Well, with an exception. A Just Quest, Strongheart increases the damage bonus of Justice Needs champions by 12.5% for each season level you have gained in the current season, stacking multiplicatively. So look, if you have a high season level, I mean, maybe that's, I don't know if this is probably high enough versus a 2. But in a full formation, this could be different. When at a certain point, when you get your season level high enough, that's just what you choose. So Strongheart's going to be one of those that it kind of depends on what's going on. Am I in a season and do I have a high season level? A Just Quest. If not, it's going to be one of these other two based off the formation you're building. So good champions, Valor's Call. Affiliations, honorary members. For honorary member, Strongheart gains the affiliation. He becomes a member of another affiliation, of the most populous affiliation in the formation, and increases the damage bonus of Justice Needs champions by 150% for each champion from the affiliation, stacking multiplicatively. Now notice there is a parentheses S in there. Why would they do that? Wouldn't it be just gains the affiliation, not affiliations? If you are tied, if you have 3 members of one affiliation, 3 members of another affiliation, and 3 members of another affiliation, Strongheart counts and becomes a member of all of them, and will count them all for this. So it really is an interesting formation building strategy. Even just from that one angle of he can then count them all. Beyond that, though, if you have an affiliation who has bonuses based off like the number of members or things, adding Strongheart to them will then boost their affiliation bonuses. Like, I don't know, BBEG counting the number of the awful ones. Strongheart will count as an awful one if awful ones are the most you have in there, and suddenly BBG is spawning zombies every 1.5 seconds, and suddenly you've got a couple dozen zombies on your screen. It's fun. It's fun. I don't know how useful it is, but it's a lot of fun. Sometimes that's all that matters. I'm going to pick a Just Quest here, but, do your math. Figure out what's going on. Yeah. All right. He's a good boy. Good boy. Level up stronger. All right. Ultimate attack. Yeah, that was the last thing. I just wanted to make sure. So Strongheart's ultimate is Command Yield. Strongheart moves forward and commands the enemy with the most health to yield. The key there is the enemy with the most health. So this is a great way to just situationally target a boss, who usually is the thing on the screen with the most health, if you want to. It stuns it for 6 seconds. While it's stunned, all attacks against the enemy deal an additional 15 seconds worth of bud. So what this means is not only are you stunning this enemy, but you're making it so that every person in your party, every attack they make, whether they're a tank or a support, or the DPS, is doing an additional amount of bud-based damage. And since bud is set by the DPS, effectively you are turning everyone into your party for a DPS for 6 seconds. This is a boss killer. This is a segmented health killer, like an armored specifically. This is an armored boss killer, because usually an armored boss is only taking damage from your DPS. If Strongheart stuns them, they're taking damage from everyone. So this is fantastic. This is a great ultimate to use if you're having trouble killing Zariel in this event. Zariel is the Area 50 boss, and she is armored, and she hits like a truck. So keeping her away from your team and chunking out that armor is your challenge. Strongheart helps you with that with the ultimate. Okay. Now we can't talk about gear because I don't have any, so let's talk about how you get gear on an event champion. So there are lots of different ways to get gear for champions. You've probably already been opening silver and gold chests. Silver and gold chests only drop gear for your core champions like Brunor, who you've probably been using, and evergreen champions like Hitch. This is Mitch. Sorry, this is Hitch. Hitch is Mitch is Mind Flare Hitch. So Hitch, who's an evergreen that you get from signing up for the newsletter. Core and evergreen champion gear comes out of silver and gold chests only. So for event champions, you have to get gear another way. One of the ways is those Electrum chests, like the one that we have a code for on screen right now and in chat. You take the code, you copy paste it into the cryptex, or you type it into the cryptex. If it's not 12 characters, if it's 16, there's a button down here in the bottom left to switch. Otherwise, when you copy paste, it will switch on its own. It will switch on its own just like that. And suddenly you have an Electrum chest. Now, Electrum chests can drop gear for every champion you own. Now that means they can drop gear from event champions. For event champions. However, they will also drop gear for core and evergreen champions. So it's every champion. Now, the thing about Electrums is they will try to target champions who don't have any gear, like our friend Strongheart here first, as long as everybody else already has gear. Right? If everybody else has gear in all their slots, then Strongheart's going to get focused by Electrums. And this is why when we're gearing up new event champions, an event rolls around, more experienced players will save their Electrum chests just for the event, because they're going to be able to drop a lot of gear onto the new champions that come out, and you want to use Electrums first. Because the other way that you get gear from the event is from those named silver and gold chests you get by doing free plays. Golds you can get from doing the variants as well, but doing free plays, excuse me, completing a free play to 50 is going to give you a chance at a silver or a gold chest. And you're guaranteed a gold every 4 runs if you've got silver 3 times in a row, right? So the worst luck ever, every 4 runs, you're going to get 1 gold, 3 silvers from free plays. This is why you run free plays. So, but those named chests are guaranteed to go to Strongheart. So we don't want to put those on first. We want to do the Electrums first. Otherwise, there's almost zero chance that anything would drop on Strongheart, right? So doing this is going to funnel gear onto Strongheart. And look, because I opened so many, I actually got even blues. Blues are harder to come by out of Electrums, but, you open them enough, you're going to get them. So my Strongheart is now in full blue gear just because of Electrums. Now, if I were trying to gear up all 3 champions would have ended up in some mix of probably white, green, and blue gear because it would have spread those out amongst the others. But here's what it looks like in my collection. So I got a lot of decent drops off that, right? So I have good gear. blue is really getting to blue efficiently is kind of your goal in event. Obviously, epic is nice, but epic is random. You know, there's just a random chance that a gold chest is going to drop a piece of purple gear, whereas you can guarantee blues. If I had gotten to just greens here with a Strongheart, that would have been my goal with Electrums. Then every gold chest I opened for Strongheart would have guaranteed me a blue upgrade, at least a blue upgrade. It might have gone purple. Most players, when they're starting the game, are going to end up, if they're running all their free plays and they've done the variants, you're going to end up with like 5 blues and a purple on a new champion, and that's great. If you do better than that, and you end up with a couple purples, woohoo! You might do worse. You might have if you're opening kind of in the wrong order, you might end up with still a green. But as long as but your goal is kind of just to try to get to full blue, hope, and a purple on an event. Getting them to full purple is a long-term goal. But if you have enough bounty contracts, you can easily get to full purple. I had lots of bounty contracts I opened. I've got lots of chests already. So I'm going to open the silvers next, because silvers, even though I already have all the gear that it would drop, it's now silvers are going to drop duplicate gear. They may also fill out my collection, which has no power effect. It's just nice. But it's going to get me duplicate gear. Duplicate gear gets you more item levels, which gets you more power, right? This is why I wanted to drop all those Electrums first, because then I'm guaranteed to focus as much power as possible, even though it's not going to be a whole lot, onto Strongheart, because I'll take whatever gains I can get, right? And then I'm going to go to the gold chests, and this is going to get me all of my epics. Yay! Because I had so many. If you're wondering what's the minimum amount of gold chests you need to get full epic, the only way we can tell you that is worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, you're going to need 54 gold chests. The reason it's 54 is when you start off opening gold chests, they have a bad luck protection timer. It's called a pity timer. It says guaranteed epic equipment in one of the next 4 chests. But after you get that epic, then it's a 1 in, then then you have to go to 10. So 4 and then 5 other slots to fill 54, right? Now, average, I've seen people get full epic off like 30, 35 chests before. But, you know, RNG is going to RNG. All right, let's talk about Strongheart's gear now that I've got some. We've got a damage of all champions item. So this is the general boost that you get with supports. We get a Justice Needs champion item. So that's buffing his primary buff. Then you get Courage to Stand. So that's the healing item. So this is going to increase his heals by a good amount. Yeah, I'm now up to about 5,000 on my heal per second. And that's before it starts multiplying against itself with crits. Then we get a Righteous Might item. Folks, remember how I told you Righteous Might was the big deal item? It is. It is. Look at these numbers. Look at these numbers now. I haven't even put a lot into this. I'm already in the EO5 range? Because it's a pre-stack bonus. Pre-stacks the broken way. It's the OP way. So it's it's raising, this item is raising the amount of damage that I'm boosting for just a single stack from 1 crit. And then when I get a second crit, it's multiplying it against itself. Boom, 2 crits and I'm at EO5 already. What? Righteous Might. So good. Then there's also Portable Ram. This is the specialization bonus. And remember, that's multiplicatively stacking too. However, this is, I believe, it should be a post-stack bonus. Yes, post-stack multiplier, but still. So it's nice to have a multiplier on that anyway. And then you get an ultimate attack cooldown, which you want, because you want that stun with that bonus damage on bosses every chance you get, right? So good, really good itemization on Strongheart. Feat-wise, we get damage of all champions, which is standard for any support class. We get Justice Needs champions feats. You get Season Knight. So again, this is the one that boosts the season progress. If you're running them in a season group, you want to have this slotted. If you're not, then you can take it out because it won't do you really any good. Like if a season isn't active, no reason to have it, or if you finished all your quests. Righteous Might feat, again, I think this is Righteous Might and the crit feats at the bottom, I think, are the way to go. You get specialization feats. There's also a Constitution feat and an Intelligence feat. So Constitution helps them to qualify for Vajra as a patron, her stuff. And the Intelligence one helps him qualify for Strahd as a patron. So with these feats, he can qualify for all patrons, because he already qualifies for the other two automatically. Now, there's a Stunning Riposte feat, which is unique. Whenever Strongheart scores a crit, the target is stunned for 2 seconds. So if you're running a group that feeds off of stuns, then you would add this along with the crit feeds, right? Because then you're creating lots and lots of stuns. Yeah, and then there's a Courage to Stand, that's the healing feat. Right, so that's Strongheart for you. Let's talk about Sergeant Knox. Knox, who's there? He is. He is. So human fighter, neutral good, tanking support with just a really nice overwhelm. Do I have an overwhelm feat in? I do. Okay. It would be a 25 normally. I'm like, that's really nice. That's too much. Yeah, so 25 overwhelm normally. Basic attack, battle axe. Sergeant Knox swings his enormous battle axe through the nearest group of enemies. That means it's an AoE, folks. That's an AoE. It should be pretty clear. Ultimate attack, Sergeant Knox swings his axe in an arc, knocking nearby enemies back, damaging them, and stunning them for 2 seconds. So again, another stunner for you. He then leaps at a random enemy and swings his axe in an overhead blow, dealing even more damage and stunning enemies in the area for 5 seconds. Here's what he looks like. Boom, a big wide thing, and then he jumps and bam. Finisher. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. Lots of stuns off Sergeant Knox. Lots of stuns off Sergeant Knox from his ultimate. Rallying Cry is the base ability, so it increases the damage of champions in the column behind Sergeant Knox. So much like Nahara, he buffs the column behind. And it does it by 100% for each positional formation ability that is affecting them, including this one. This is where things get crunchy, I guess. Look, you have to understand what a positional formation ability is. Rallying Cry is one, because it says it buffs the column behind. So another positional formation ability is Strongheart's Justice Needs Champions, because it buffs adjacent champions, right? So anything that says something like adjacent, within 2 slots of, ahead, behind, in this column, these are positional formation abilities. The more of those you have pointing to the champion, to your primary DPS, the more of a buff Sergeant Knox is going to give them. So he likes to tank for a team that has lots of positional formation abilities. Blessed by Selune, if affected by Celeste's Mass Cure Wounds, so basically if Celeste is healing Sergeant Knox takes 25% less damage from all attacks, excluding an attack that can instantly kill him. So if he's going to get one hit, he's going to get one hit. But anything else, he takes 25% damage reduction. Hero of Neverwinter, this increases the health of all champions by 25% of Sergeant Knox's max health. This is what we refer to as a health share ability. All tanks have this at differing values. This is how a tank helps the rest of the party survive, by sharing his health with them. Allies of Convenience, if adjacent to Makos, the effects of Rallying Cry and Makos' Dark Blessing abilities are increased by 200%. So this buffs not only their buff, but also Makos' buff, if Makos is adjacent. I just want to say it's very difficult to put Sergeant Knox adjacent to Makos if Makos is the support champion. It's challenging. So this is more of a thing like Makos DPS. This is more Makos DPS. But it doesn't even work then, I don't think. It's weird. It's a weird ability, folks. It takes a very specific formation. You could do it here. You could put Makos, where's Makos? You could put Makos here. But the thing is Makos buffs non-adjacent, so you can't put your DPS here. You would have to put your DPS here. Right? This is the only way it would work. So you have to keep that in mind with Sergeant Knox. To get that specific bonus, it requires a very specific formation layout. Yeah, because hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, because Dark Blessing is the support buff anyway, so it wouldn't work if with Mako's DPS. It's odd. So very specific formation layout for allies of convenience. Master Defender, Sergeant Knox increases the damage of all champions by 100% for each enemy attacking Sergeant Knox. This is a tank buff. So the more they're being damaged, the more they're like, hey, you're going to help me out? And they give you more damage, right? Rallying Cry is all columns behind Sergeant Knox? Oh, that's right. It does say columns. My bad. I read it as column, singular. So Rallying Cry will buff everyone. Never mind. Never mind. I blame this on the week I've been having. So Sergeant Knox is going to buff everybody except people in his column. So you can put Makos adjacent here, but it does mean your DPS cannot be adjacent to Makos. They will have to be somewhere else, non-adjacent. So just keep that in mind then. That's better. I was like, it wasn't never that bad, was it? No, it's because I read it wrong. All right, specializations. Things get a little picky-choosy here. You're going to have to kind of decide what you're trying to do with your formation. Rallying Cry, or Explosive Rally. Rallying Cry now stacks multiplicatively instead of additively. Now remember, Rallying Cry is counting the number of positional formation buffs. So with buffs applying to the post-stack value, which isn't the broken way, but the base percentage gets decreased to 35%. So you're multiplying things, you're turning it into a multiplier, which is the good way, but you're going to have a lot of positional formation abilities to make it work. So if you want to use Explosive Rally, you have to really be heavily relying on positional formation abilities on your DPS. Altruistic Rally. This increases the effect of Celeste, Crusader's Mantle, and Makos' Dark Blessing abilities by 100% each. So if you're just running more of a starter formation, you've got Celeste and Makos in the party, this is going to give you a double bonus for their buffs, for each of their buffs. So ultimately, that's like a, 2x bonuses. That's a 4x damage bonus. That's an easy way to think about it. Shield Wall, though, is going to make Sergeant Knox tankier, so it increases his health by 50%. So if what you need is survivability, you want Shield Wall. So since he's the tank, I'm usually focusing on survivability. I tend to go Shield Wall. But that's me. You do you. If you know you're fine and you just want the damage, you can go with one of the damage bonuses. That was everything. Item-wise, a pair of damage all champions items and a health item, because tanks need health boosts, so they tend to have a health item or they're not a very good tank. We get Rallying Cry bonus, and that's it. There's no other ability that gets buffed, just Rallying Cry. So this is telling you everything is in on Rallying Cry. Ultimate attack damage, ultimate attack cooldown. Feat-wise, a pair of damage all champions, a pair of health feats for Sergeant Knox to increase their health. We get Rallying Cry, we get Overwhelm, and then there is an intelligence feat, like once again, +1 int feats. If they have 12 int, you need 13 int to get to Strahd as a patron. So that's usually why you're seeing this. Okay. Yeah. That's Sergeant Knox. Who's next? Nahara. Finish with our DPS and speed champion. So Nahara joins us from the Black Die Society. This is a completed affiliation in the game, so all members are present. There's a lot of members. Got to catch them all. Female Reborn Aasimar, Warlock Bard, Chaotic Neutral, DPS speed. Base attack is Witch Bolt, and it is interesting. Witch Bolt, that one. Nahara attacks a random enemy, and every enemy that she already hit with a bolt of energy. We were talking about this earlier. So she'll attack a random enemy, and then she'll attack a different random enemy, and the one she just hit, if it's still alive. And then she'll attack another random enemy. And if you're not able to kill something on a level, like we're somewhere where we can kill everything, but if you're somewhere where you can't kill it right away, Nahara can eventually be attacking everyone on the screen. Every attack. It's a little wild. It can get a little wild. Nahara has a unique passive ability called Beloved by Strahd, so Nahara can start in all Strahd patron adventures. All of them. even if the variant restrictions would say otherwise. So no matter what, Nahara qualifies for Patron Strahd. Yeah. Who am I? Nahara recovers a bit of her lost memory as she adventures. If Nahara is in the formation when you complete an area for the first time, that means like I can't just go back and like in the single run and go back and do it over and over again. You just have to push, right? So that's for the first time. You can complete an adventure, do that adventure again. It will count again. You just can't like go back to level 1 and then click through the adventures again, is what they're telling you. So when you complete an adventure for the first time, she gets a damage bonus, percent damage bonus that stacks additively. And these bonuses persist through resets. This is what we call a permanently stacking ability. So the more you use Nahara, the more damage she does. That's it. It's that straightforward. Where am I at? With who am I? I've got EO6 stacks. So I'm getting an EO6 buff. That's nice to her damage. And it's just, the more I use Nahara, the more it's going to go up. Admittedly, I don't think I've used Nahara a lot. Like to try to just grind up her numbers, but there you go. To Muse or Revenge, when Nahara attacks and defeats at least one enemy, she gains a levity stack, with a maximum of 30 stacks. When she attacks and doesn't defeat an enemy, she loses a levity stack. So Nahara gets a damage bonus for each stack she has below 30. And at the start of each area, she reduces the area requirements for 2% for each levity stack above 15. So here's the thing. The fewer levity stacks you have, the bigger the buff. So again, you're going to have 0 stacks if you're not killing anything. It's going to go down to 0. And as it goes lower, she does more and more damage. That's what you want. But if you're able to kill instantly, her stacks go up. And when they're above 15, this is her speed effect, the area requirements go down. So as you can see up here, I'm at 17 enemies defeated needed. Normally, it's 25. Because she has a lot of levity stacks, she's making it easier for me to complete an area. Obviously, it can't reduce 1, but yeah. So she reduces the requirements you need to complete an area. And it's based off, are you killing things instantly or not, effectively? Okay. So early in your run, speed champion, until you get to the point where you can't kill right away. Strong Society. Nahara gets a 400% damage bonus for each other Black Dice Society affiliation member in the formation, and this stacks multiplicatively. Obviously, there's a cap. There's only this many, right? So it can get 6 stacks. This is just a bonus this is their kind of affiliation bonus for running a full affiliation. Not required for Nahara, but it is, hey, more damage is nice. More damage is nice. All right. So, specializations. This is where things can be a little weird. We're going to talk about the one on the left and the one on the right first. So one on the left, a grave experience. The Who Am I counter increments 3 times for every area cleared. So this is what we call like like if you're farming stacks. If your purpose for your Nahara run, say you're gem farming and you've got Nahara in your gem farm formation, you could run a grave experience and you could build up your damage stacks for when you want to use her for damage. Okay, that is one option. The other option is a skilled liar. The area reduction into Muse or Revenge is increased by 50%. So if you just want to go faster and earn more gems, you'd do a skill liar. But this is a speed specialization, and this helps you permanently ramp up her damage. So these are kind of 2 choices you might have when you're just trying to run like a pushing formation, or when you're trying to run like gem farming. Now, when you're doing an actual pushing formation, you probably want to go grave experience. She doesn't really have any other kind of a damage bonus here. Because a Barovian bond is very specific. A Barovian bond says Strong Society gets a 400% increase, and Black Dice Society members can be used if Strahd is currently the patron, even if they don't qualify for the other variant requirements. A Barovian Bond is what you would choose if you're building out more of a Black Dice Society formation or using multiple Black Dice Society members. That would be the go-to. It would be better than this or this, obviously, for pushing. But the big thing here is, remember, Nahara can go in any Strahd variant. All of them. And with a Barovian Bond, she can bring all of the Black Dice Society in with her. It gives you a core group that you could use for all of Patron Strahd stuff if you want, which is very nice. These are very nice features. There are now multiple champions that can do things like this in the game. It's very nice to always have certain people available, even if maybe they're not always the most optimal. As long as they're reliable, it can be real good. Okay, so this is the options here. So it's not super straightforward. You just kind of have to figure, what am I trying to do in this? If I'm just doing speed, I could go here. But if I'm doing speed but I want to build up later damage, I could go here. I should probably do more grave experience, if I'm being honest with myself, so I can build up her stacks. I tend to just use her. I tend to throw her in speed stuff and then only do speed stacks. Oh, hey, it's Zariel, folks. The Strange Dance Zariel. Zariel is a patron, but she's also an enemy you have to defeat sometimes. So again, armored boss, segmented health. This is what it looks like. She has 2 layers, a yellow layer and a red layer. That means 50 total armor segments. So the health that you need to get to defeat an armor segment is her total health divided by 50. As we see, we just demolish her because we had, even though we only have 3 champions, I've over leveled so far that we had lots of damage. All right, back to Nahara. Yeah, that's everything. Form of Dread. So Nahara takes off into the air and channels the power of her patron, Azalin Rex, for 15 seconds. Her damage is increased by 1,000% while in this form, and any enemy she hits has a 50% chance of being stunned for 2 seconds. Here's what it looks like. Boom. The big flaming wings and some kind of weird halo and glowy eyes, and this is what she does for 15 seconds. So it's basically going to give her, it's basically the hi, I'd like more damage button, now button, right? And then she lands and we're good. I do want to point out Nahara does have an interesting stack meter. So she does, if you want to know what her levity stacks are, it's right here. So right now we're maxed out on levity stacks, so we're maxed out on area reduction. If we were not killing things, it would start swinging the other way. So you can just, at a glance, you can tell where her levity stacks are, which is a nice feature of Nahara. Item-wise, she is a DPS, so she has a pair of self-damage items. She can buff her Who Am I ability, she can buff the damage portion of Amuse or Avenge, and she can increase the damage of her attacks in her Form of Dread. This is basically like an ultimate attack item. But since her ultimate attack just buffs her, this makes it buff her more. And then we have ultimate cooldown reduction, right? Feat-wise, we're going to see a lot of the normal feats for damage, for DPS options, which is self-damage. We're going to see Who Am I? These are the effects of Who Am I? This is the damage of Amuse or Avenge. So remember, this doesn't change Amuse or Avenge for the speed, just the damage. Then we have a +2 Constitution. That gets her into Vajra, Patron Vajra. And a +1 Strength score. That qualifies her for Patron Zariel. Okay. She does not qualify for Mert, but she qualifies for anything in Strahd, right? All right, those are our champions. For this event. We have a bunch of questions already in here, a little over a dozen. We're going to take a short musical interlude, and then I'll be back to answer all of those questions. If you have questions and you haven't asked them, put question : like it shows down below, in front of your question, and Gabe, who's in the production booth, will grab them so that I can answer them for you. Be right back. The song at the break is The Legend of Sergeant Knox.
Here we go. the wall to see the foes of Neverwinter fall. When Valendra unleashed a scourge, he was there to perform the purge. From the bridges, gates, cliffs, and docks comes the legend known as Sergeant Knox. This former mercenary always retakes the city, unites us all with his rolling call. He's gonna knock you out, leave you seeing stars, gonna break your lies, leave you lasting scars. He's gonna knock you out, call the thunder down, gonna bring her, driving death out of town. When the blessed of Saluda called, his answer echoed off the marble halls. If you're looking for a helping hand, keep an eye out for this giant man. Celeste will do the healing with Mako's damage dealing, and in the front on Knox is holding the line. He's gonna knock you out, leave you seeing stars, gonna break your lies, leave you lasting scars. He's gonna knock you out, call the thunder down, gonna bring the hell, driving death out of town. Solo over this. Ow. Yeah. Gonna knock you out, leave you seeing scars, gonna break your heart, leave you lasting scars. He's gonna knock you out, call the thunder down, gonna bring the hell, driving death out of town. Gonna knock you out, gonna break your heart. He's gonna knock you out, gonna bring the hell, driving death out of town.
Good song. All right, I'm going to hit up the questions that are on topic, or at least close to the topic first, and then I'll hit up everything else. So let me pick through here. Imaginal Disc, if one has lots of bounty contracts, is it worth farming item levels after the event champions are full epic, or are they just better ways to do that? I mean, look, it depends on what you're trying to do. Some people just try to get to full epic with their in the event, and then they'll use blacksmithing contracts later, and then they'll save up bounty contracts for like a champion that they feel is worth it. Honestly, in this event, I think Strongheart's worth it because of that multiplicatively stacking item. So at least in this event, if you're someone who's normally a hoarder of bounty contracts, Strongheart's going to pay dividends for raising the item levels. You probably just want to use a good amount of them. Personally, I use all of my bounty contracts every event. That way, every event, my newest champion is as equally geared as basically anyone else. That's kind of what I shoot for, so that everyone is equally useful is what I try to get, at least a base level of power for everyone. But, you do you. Jarvola, should we aim for complete epic on a hero before moving to the next after unlocking all three, or try to spread out between the heroes? Again, unless you have a lot of bounty contracts, and I mean a lot, to get a lot of event tokens, you're not getting full epic. You're not. So again, what you're aiming for is trying to get full blue as quickly as possible on all three champions, because full blue, so fully rare gear, is where champions become, I think, kind of highly functional. They've got good multipliers, and you know, you're right on the edge of epic. Yeah, that's what you're trying to do. And then what I do when I'm on a new account is I alternate runs. Once everybody's at full blue, I'll do runs for a champion until I get a gold chest, and then I'll move to the next champion and the next champion, just to try to get as equal a number of gold chests for everybody as possible, in the hopes that they get an equal number of epics. But full epic only happens in an event if you can end up with hundreds of thousands of tokens, literally in the EO5 token range. I think you need like at least like 250,000, 200,000, 250,000, if not more. That takes a lot of bounty contracts. Ricardoso asks, do you know where your towel is? Yeah, like I said earlier, it's right over there. I have a... When I went on a road trip across my first road trip across the United States by myself, I went and I bought a camping towel, which is this tiny, it looks like a tiny little rectangle bag, and you pull it out and it's one of those super absorbent towels that you can just wring all the water out of and then fold it back up and put it back in the bag. I'm like, I'm always going to need a towel. So, so it's right over there. But in this event, the towels are the event tokens. Once again, towels are your event tokens. Spigans Lab, is it worth pushing event favor much beyond what you need to clear the variants? As a secondary thing, yes. I think your first goal is just to try to get enough favor to clear all the variants. Then do your variants with your tokens, get them all done, and then if you want to do a deep push, if you've got enough power to go a lot further, go a lot further. I mean, that's why I have E67 favor, right? Because again, there's that multiplier that you take back to your main campaign. So if you can easily get to say E20, but you're only at E8 or E9, get to E20. But it's just, remember, like if you're working if you're trying to do a deep run and you don't even go up a single order of magnitude in favor after a deep run, you're done. Like there's no reason to keep trying. Unless you're not at EO8 yet, right? Like you got to try to scrape to get EO8. But if you're up higher, you know, it's kind of like how much is another 10% worth it to you for each EO1 you get, right? You got to figure that out on your own. RC Pete, what would be your estimate on how many gold chests to open to get enough bounty contracts to get the new champion all purple gear? So, I did this yesterday on GG2E, Gaarwarr's Guide to Everything. I personally open, I think I've totally forgotten. I think the chat was right. It's 2,000 chests, 2,000 gold chests every event. That gets me more than enough bounty contracts, to make sure that I get full epic, for the new champion. But that's just one new champion. It might work for multiple, but I don't have any way to know that. So I do 2,000 gold chests. Now in the past, I started out doing 500 gold chests, right? And then as I could earn more gems between events, it became 1,000, and then it became 1,500, and then it became 2,000, and then for a while I was doing 2,500, and I was like, whoa, no, that's way too many. It was just their item levels were out of whack with all my other champions, and sometimes you want gems for other things. So I do 2,000 chests every event, and that gets me to full epic. You could probably get away with less. But again, it's really based on like what's your gem production like in between events, and what can you get, right? For newer players, it's just not possible. But again, you don't necessarily need it either. Those blues with an epic or two are going to be fine. Firebolt, too cool. I'm new. Welcome to the game. Should I open all my chests now in the event? Sure. Again, if you have... You open on my chest. If you have Electrums, open those. If you've unlock your champions first, just even unlock them. Then open up any Electrums you might have. And then open your named silvers first. So the ones that say the Silver Sergeant Knox or Silver Strongheart or Silver Nahara. I would say hold on to your golds for a little bit. Because the goal is you want to try to get your champions to at least green gear before popping golds. Because that's going to be the most efficient way to get you to blue. Because if your gold chests will guarantee you an upgrade to either green or blue. But you don't really want to waste a gold on a green upgrade, right? So try to get your champions to green with Electrums and Silvers over the course of the event. Once they're there, then you can pop their named golds. Oh, hey, yeah. Achievement question. Marta Ray, how do you increase the count from for Strongheart's I Thought I Told You to Yield quest? I'm having difficulty with it. Yeah, so I had to build a very specific formation to do this. I did it on Wednesday on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. I do play Idle Champions over there a couple times a week. So Strongheart's event achievement is I thought I told you to yield. Have your champions perform at least 20 attacks against an enemy that is stunned by a single use of Strongheart's ultimate. So the place you're going to want to do this in the event is on Zariel, on the boss, right? We talked about how you want to use Strongheart as a boss killer. Well, this works for Zariel with this. You're going to want Strongheart critting as much as possible. And if you have, because again, the crits are going to increase your attack speed, right? So you'll get more attacks off. So you want Strongheart critting as much as possible. So throw those feats in, or use other champions like some of the season champions. The Legends of Mithril Hall have crit bonuses they can share with the party. And then you clear out the trash mobs and then ult that boss, and hope everyone around Strongheart has a high crit chance. Well, they don't even need have a high crit chance. They just need to have a high attack speed. Again, if he's crit multiple times, he will have reduced their attack cooldown and make them attack faster. If you have other champions that can help speed up attack speed for your party, champions like Whittle, champions like Human, anything that's gonna take off attack time, or if you can use fast attack champions, so champions who normally their base attack is only a couple seconds long, that's going to help you get to 20 attacks in a single stun. Because remember, how they're going to have to attack 20 times in a 6-second period. So again, what they're trying to do is get you to recognize that that Righteous Might is super strong, and get you to build crit on Strongheart. But there are other ways to set it up. There are lots of other champions that up attack speed. Oh yeah, multi-hit Niscus, multi-hit champions help too. So if you have somebody like Ashara who throws out multiple attacks, those all count. So yeah, so there's a variety of ways to do it, but really, even if you just have starter champions, it's all about Strongheart critting a lot, and having some fast attackers or multi-attackers around them. Okay. Okay. The Zork. Between Nahara, Strongheart, and Freely, what slot should I put my spare potions of polish on? Oof. So Strongheart, I just kind of need to do this, so I think I've got one. I saved one for Strongheart. I did. Strongheart's gonna want, oh god, this is the weird order. Why is it not in the right order? Righteous Might. Right, we already talked about how this is a pre-stack bonus. So, Righteous Might. Now, if you had some extras that you wanted to throw at it, the specialization is also multiplicatively stacking, so enjoy. For Nahara, I threw a shiny on her Who Am I? Because why not? I didn't really care about the others too much. I mean, you could go Glittering Raiment, I guess. But I did Who Am I? Because that's the permanent stacking one. Freely. I have lots of stuff on Freely. Gilding Requisition Lucky Break is going to be great. This is going to be the gold find. So this is going to increase like the amount of gold you're getting off things that he kills. Gilding Unlucky for them. This is the damage bonus, the stacking, the multiplicatively stacking damage bonus. This is multiplicatively stacking gold find. This is multiplicatively stacking damage. And potentially even Gilding Adventurous Tale. That's your favor bonus. So he's got 3. This lucky boy has 3 items that you could potentially want gilded. And I do. I have them gilded. Yay me. So there you go. Ultimately, whatever you want, but those would be the 5 I would focus on. Oh, I almost forgot. Hold on. Sorry, folks. We're going to take a short moment because I now have Strongheart. And I'm going to make Strongheart. I'm going to upgrade Strongheart to Legendary. Strongheart's going to be fully Legendary because this is just what I do. This is not the most efficient use of scales in the world. But I just like every champion, once I get them to Epic, to just have fully Legendary gear. Because why not? Because why not? There we go. Boom. Okay, now I feel better. All right, back to questions. For Laressi, do you know how seasoned favors are calculated? I'm at level 37, but favors only E17. Seems weird. I think I got more favor last season this time. I mean, so season favor is, what am I at? I don't know. I'm at 21%. Yeah. It's always going to be a little lower, like right here. So you got 25% of a bonus, 50% of a bonus, 25% of a bonus. It's just as you're doing these things, you're getting these bonuses. So it's just going to be about, whatever number you have. It's going to look like it's going to end up a lower percentage for most people than what you might get out of events or something. And that's because it goes towards every campaign. So honestly, I don't pay attention to it. It's just like the secondary thing that you get out of this, because what I really care, or actually it's the tertiary thing. It's the third. I think that's right. I think that's tertiary. Because what I really care about is I care about the rewards track. After the rewards track, I care about all of these sweet, sweet buffs that are going to let me push super deep while the season is active. And then after it's all over with, I care about the favor, right? Mysar, is there any reason to run free plays past level 50? Once you have the amount of favor, like if you're fine with where your favor is sitting in the event, then no. Now I usually set my Modron to reset at 51, but yeah, you just have to complete area 50, and then you'll get your chest. So just as a reminder for anybody that missed it, whenever you do a free play for a champion, there's a chance to get either a silver or gold chest for that champion. It's a 1 in 3 chance to get a gold, but if you don't get a gold chest in your first 3 runs, you're guaranteed one on your 4th. So at the very least, you're getting a gold chest every 4 runs. And since the maximum cost of a free play is 2,500 tokens, that means you're guaranteed to get 1 gold and 3 silvers for 10,000 tokens, which is a better deal than going to the shop and spending 10,000 tokens on a single gold chest. Please don't do this. This is a bit of a trap. It exists for when you're down to like a couple hours left and you've got a bunch of tokens and you can't run free plays quick enough. You can just burn your tokens here, but while the event is active, you should be doing free plays, because you could have great luck and end up with 4 gold chests for those 10,000 tokens. I've done it. It's great. It makes you super happy. The Nautical Menace, since Nova is ineligible for Zariel, is Strongheart a good replacement for her? I have some adventure variants that are difficult to complete without her. Strongheart is not a tank, to be clear. So if you were using Nova to tank, no. But if you Oblivion, that's unintended gameplay that the devs have said they're going to remove at some point. So don't rely on that. So if you were using Strongheart if you were using Nova as a tank, then no. But if you were just using Nova as a buffer, then yes, because Righteous Might is mathematically broken. And when I say mathematically broken, I'm talking Artemis and Krond type of mathematically broken. And who else do we have now? Antreus types of mathematically broken. Whenever you have a multiplicatively stacking ability that doesn't have a cap, I mean, it has a functional cap, but that isn't listed as a cap, and it has an item support, and that item support is pre-stack, that's the OP way. So, yeah, a well-geared Strongheart could potentially outdo a Nova, potentially. But it depends on how all in you've gone on your Nova, right? If you went full Nova on her, then it's not gonna be as competitive. But Strongheart's gonna be a real solid. Strongheart is they're the trio now in slot 11 are Averin, Nova, and Strongheart as the three supports that are just beefy. Can Strongheart take over Averin? Yes. Potentially. I mean, again, it's all about gear. But Strongheart because the Strongheart is a multiplicatively stacking item, like a pre-stack bonus item, with enough item levels, Strongheart will be the strongest champion in that slot. That's just how math works. Zamazisti, how does Strongheart custom my champions do 0 damage? You're in a variant. You have to be. You have to be in one of Strongheart's variants because the variants literally say only Strongheart and champions next to them deal damage, which means if you don't have champions next to Strongheart, they do 0 damage. And all 3 variants are like that. If for some reason that's happening outside of a variant, that would be a bug and you'd submit a ticket. But I'm almost 100% positive, Zamazisti, that you're in one of Strongheart's variants, and that's how the variant restriction works. You gotta read those restrictions. You gotta. Samuel K. Kaufman, in the Visions of Strahd variant, did anyone laugh their bums off by the way Calliope told off Strahd? Oh, if you're reading the chat, yeah, some of the lines are pretty great. If you read the adventure dialogue, if you read them. I haven't read Adventure Dialogue in a long time, but they've just said that they're moving the journal into the collections potentially in the future, and I'm going to be so happy because then I'll get to go catch up on all the storylines. Because I play this game idly, which means I set a thing and I put it in a thing and then I don't watch it, so I don't see the dialogue. I don't see the dialogue. Matt Spud, how are you able to get 2,000 gold chests for each event? Are you buying the gems? Are you getting them from boss drops or some other method? Yes. All of the above. As a more experienced player, a lot of my time is spent gem farming in some form or another, and that means I'm killing lots of bosses, which means I'm looting lots of gold chests off bosses. But that usually only gets me, I think the most I've gotten in between events, events usually happen every 3 weeks. I think the most I've gotten is around 500 that way. But since I'm doing a lot of that, I'm also earning a lot of gems, so then I buy a lot of gold chests. Then I buy up to the 2,000 with whatever I'm missing, I then just buy. Now I'm also getting lots of other chests along the way, right? Like lots of other... along the way, you're getting like weekend chests, and during a season, you're getting season chests, and I'm opening those. And hey, guess what? Those have bounty contracts too. So there's lots of other sources of bounty contracts, but specifically, I make sure that I'm opening 2,000 gold chests every event. But again, it comes from a lot of gem farming. Ken Ravip says another place. Well, there's lots of other places to do Strongheart's achievement, but another one is the double armored T-Rex zombie in Vecna Lives. Sure. The key is you want an armored boss, or a boss you just can't kill. But Zariel makes that real easy right now and is available to everybody. Oh, Brachadaisical, I think this is the last one on topic. Brachadaisical are event achievements other than the adventure achievements, completable when the event isn't active. So here's the thing. These numbered achievements, the 175 up to 275, the two sets of those, these are the only achievements that absolutely positively must be done while an event is active. These can't be done anywhere else. Even in a time gate, when it says free play and it doesn't count. It has to be the event free play, or it has to be the event run. It has to be a free play. It won't work in a variant. So these are the only ones that have to be done in an event. Everything else, there are ways to do it outside of events, right? Like unlock a champion. Clearly, you can do that in a variety of ways. Obtain gear. You can do that in a variety of ways. Do their achievement. You can do this. This is their actual achievement, like their quest they send you on. Go do this for me. Can be done at any time. Complete all three variants. Obviously easier to do in an event, but there are champions who no longer arrive in events. So that's why when you do a time gate, there are two adventures, a variant, and a free play, right? So they're giving you one variant in every time gate. And if you're doing a champion's time gate for the first time and you've never done an event for them, you'll have a random chance to get one of the three variants. After you do that, there will be two variants you haven't done. So the next time gate you do, you're guaranteed to get one of those two. After that, the third time gate, when you do it, you're guaranteed to get the one you haven't done yet. So you can do these, the complete variants, in time gates. It's going to take 3 time gates. Long-term goal. If you're doing these outside of an event, this is more of a long-term goal. As you're trying to earn gear for those champions and get them to full epic, time gates are one way to get a champion to full epic gear. To get an event champion to full epic gear. The other way is patron chests. So if they qualify for that patron, you can get epic gear out of a patron's chest. All right, I'm going to go back and hit all the other stuff. True on Hedda, should Freely's adventure stacks keep counting in a background party? I don't know. They might not. Certain abilities don't count in background parties. Like, they don't keep track in background parties. So I have no way. I haven't really paid attention. I don't know. If they're not, you can always submit a ticket and say, hey, this isn't counting. And then it'll go on the list of things that they need to make sure works in background progress and offline progress, right? Niskus, how's the house looking? I mean, they removed the tree, and there's a tarp over the hole in the roof. Or they removed the tree off the roof, and they removed the part of the tree off the roof that was on the roof. They removed the part of the tree that went in the backyard. The rest of the big looming death tree is still back there, and we're trying to figure out how to get rid of it. It's going to be pricey because it's 100 feet tall and it's dangerous. So, and it's not an easy place to get equipment into because they're going to have to come in with like a lift truck and maybe a crane. And they're still doing disaster recovery. So who knows when we can get somebody out here for that, for the rest of our city. So I mean, the house is the house. We're waiting. We're waiting to hear back. We had the insurance inspector show up, like the claims inspector, but they were like, "Oh, there's structural damage." Well, I can't. Like, I'm not allowed to go in the house and start doing that. Maybe we'll get an engineer out here. But then they were thinking about the engineer, and they're like, "No, what we actually need to get is a contractor out here, because they're going to have to take some stuff apart, like potentially open up some walls to see if on that side of the house there's damage in the actual framing from how the tree landed right on the edge, and also check the foundation and plumbing. And So we're still, just delay after delay. Back onto the game. Samuel K. Kaufman, where do you find the Minotaur skeleton? So this is one of the seasonal quests of this season. And the thing about the way they do this time is there's this Legends of Mither Hall. If you hover over this is actually a button. And you can press it. And it opens a blog. And if you go to that blog and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, I know it's a long scroll, but you'll get down to key enemies. And the Minotaur skeleton is listed there. And it tells you you can find one in Underdeep Cartography in the Sword Coast. Now, there are other places where there are Minotaur skeletons, but this is the most accessible. So if we go over to the Sword Coast, this is your first adventure node. This is the second one. So you go to this one that's got the 2 arrows off of it, and you go to Underdeep Cartography. The Minotaur is the Area 50 boss. So you have to kill it 100 times for the quest. Go to Area 50, kill it. It'll automatically progress you to 51. Then just go back to 50 and then just let it sit on 50 until you kill it 100 times. The first time you beat a boss area, it auto-progresses. Even if you turn auto-progress off, it auto-progresses you to the next area. But you could just go back. Go back to 50, sit on 50, kill the boss 100 times. There you go. One of the areas is 3 Ministar. Well, look, like I said, there are other areas. Hikusenba. I'm just telling you that most easiestly to be accessed by even brand new players Underdeep Cartography. And here's the thing. The reason that they're trying to direct you to Underdeep Cartography isn't just because, hey, there's a Minotaur skeleton here. It's because when you do Underdeep Cartography and you complete it, the very first variant is Overdue Rendezvous. And this is how you unlock Drizzt Do'Urden. So, if you're a new player, you want to go here, you want to beat Underdeep Cartography, and then you want to go pick up Drizzt Do'Urden. This is what they're trying. All of these quests in the game, they're trying to direct you to things that they want to introduce you to as new players. Experienced players can go do whatever the heck they want. Okay? But for new players, you should be looking at this as them trying. These are educational quests. They're leading quests. There's a reason they're giving them to you. Ainley Master, how do you raise the item level cap for the 6th slot item on any champion? You don't raise the cap. You lower the cap. You lower the cap. So like here's a normal item level cap. And when it's slots, it isn't always slot 6. Sometimes there's slot 6s that don't have a cap. The capped items are specifically the ones that state they reduce the timer of the ultimate cooldown. Okay? Those have a cap because the most you can ever reduce your ultimate cooldown timer is 75% of the starting time. This is easiest to see on Bruenor. Bruenor starts off with a 1 minute ultimate timer. Let me get him in here so you can see. And then when you max it, 15 seconds. That's 75%. So the cap is going to be this one doesn't even have a cap on the slot 6 because this one buffs ultimate attack damage. But this one does, right? Because it reduces the cooldown. So the cooldown reduction ones are always going to cap at 75%. The cap, the level cap, will only ever go down. Ungilded, it's going to be 501. But if it's gilded, like my shiny Bruenor over here, it's 251. And what happens is this means you can get to the cap faster. That's what you want. That's what you want. If they happen to have a golden, which there's only one golden in the game that I know of, it takes it down to 126. Briv has the only one, and arguably he has the most waste of time ultimate. Everything else about Briv is OP. I think the ultimate is the only thing that's like, eh. And why he has a golden, I don't know. I don't know. Did they give one to Crawl? Hold on. I don't have one from Crawl, but I didn't think they gave one to Krull. So maybe there's two. I don't know. Missed that one. So yeah, with those, you don't want to raise the item cap. You want to reduce the item cap because then it takes less items to get you to max power. Yeah. So if there is an item with a cap, you can never raise the cap. They put it there because they're trying to limit what you can get out of it, right? So Human has a cap on his slot 4. That the number changes based off the gilding that you have. So a golden rainbow eggs caps at 1172, right? So some of these speed champions will have caps on their speed item. We'll show that one in a bit, I guess. Petty King, what do you think? Is it harder to be a free player than who buys? I mean, I think that's what you're trying. Like, which is harder, free to play or somebody who pays cash? This game is a pay to progress faster. I mean, you'll be able to complete stuff and progress faster if you pay. But many of us have played free to play accounts, fully free to play, like started new accounts and played free to play. We do just fine. My new player guide that I have that's available to everyone, you can find it on the subreddit. Somebody will probably link it in chat. I built that guide around playing a free-to-play account. And I play a free-to-play account. I start a new one every year. At least one a year, to make sure that my guides are accessible to new players and the information I'm giving is based off what a new player run would be like. A free-to-play run. So the game is playable, fully playable, without ever spending any money on it. 100%. Now, again, it may take you a little longer to get the item levels or the gear or whatever if you're not paying cash. It may also you're not going to have as many familiars, so you're going to have to play more actively. Those are the things that they sell in the shop. They sell pay to progress faster. They sell quality of life. They sell cosmetics. Right. But there isn't anything that's required for you to pay cash for. There are a couple items that may end up. We're still waiting to see if like the unaffiliated core ends up in the gem shop or if it ends up in a wild offer. Again, I don't think it's required to play the game with it, but it definitely makes it easier. So I still think it goes in that pay to progress faster part. Alien Master, is there a reason why certain characters can't use pigments on gear? Nahara and Dritz specifically don't show up on my list. Nahara and Dritz are support champions. Or are not support champions, excuse me. They're DPS champions. So if you're trying to use a support pigment, Nolzur's Marvelous Support Pigment, these can only go on champions with the support tag. So you're not going to see any pure DPS in here. There's no Artemis. There's no Dritz. There's no Nahara because they don't have the support tag. Now, if you get a DPS pigment, like is it in the bonus track? I think it is. Oh, nope. It's down here in the regular season. There. If you get the Marvelous DPS pigments, you'll be able to put these on Nahara and Dritz. They have a different bonus, though. This just increases the damage of the champion it's on by 400%. Right? That's the difference between but there are going to be 4 different types of pigments. There's going to be support, DPS, tanking, and healing. But so far, the majority of the ones we've gotten are support because that's the majority of the champions in the game. This is the first introduction of DPS. We haven't seen tanking or healing yet. Mandalore goes, hey there, long time since I played this game. Welcome back. Is there any hero like Krull was in the past? I mean, there's a few. If you're talking about OP. Yes. Ontreus in slot 4 is just aggressively strong. Strongheart now in this event, aggressively strong against multiplicatively strong because of the item support. Krull is just amazing without any gear at all, and there aren't really any champions that are like Krull who can just be gearless and OP. Yeah. Birdsong got reworked, and she's now Bird Strong. Super solid champion. Yeah. So yeah, there's a few. Yeah, Miria is pretty amazing. She does damage reduction. I wouldn't say she's multiplically broken, but she makes things real nice for your tanks, and for pushing to aggressively high levels. Um, yeah. Jarvola, if you have a fully silvered Artemis, so fully gilded, would it be worth dismantling to spread the shinies to Strongheart too? I mean, you could if you wanted to. I think Strongheart really only needs that one shiny. Righteous Might. Would it be worth dismantling season heroes that will get more item levels from reward chests for blacksmithing contracts to use on others? I mean, if you're okay taking power from one champion and giving it to another, if that's what you want to do, that's a choice that's available to you. Is it worth it? That's a you call. That's a call you have to make. It kind of depends. That's really subjective, personal call. Lurking Rider, Founders Day has the static fire enemies that are unaffected by abilities that reduce quest requirements. Right. Can often be a hard block to season progress. What are your thoughts on that enemy type, and how would you replace or improve them? I don't think it matters. I think that's just kind of the way events are. There's always going to be some events that are harder than others for you to progress on, but that's fine because it's good to have a challenge every now and then, especially if you're newer, to understand that, I've got to think a different way, or I've got to farm a little more. Or maybe I have to go get help. Maybe I have to seek out help with my formation. I think those are all good things. I'm kind of doing lightning mode here. I don't know if I'm going to answer all the questions. We'll see. What affiliations do you think Strongheart would work well with as an honorary member? Awful Ones is the one that comes to mind right off the bat, because he's the only one. I think that's the big one that he would be able to share with. I don't know that. Maybe Dark Order. Oh no, maybe Dark Order. But here's the thing: Dark Order is kind of a garbage affiliation, so it's going to help. He's going to be as helpful there as the other Dark Order members are, which means not that much. Blivin, can you explain all of the things familiars can do? Sure, they click on things. Oh, you mean all of the different places they can do, but they click. The familiars just click on things. Now, where you place them determines what that clicking does. If they're on the field, the great way to do this on PC is just hold down the F button. If they're on the field, they do damage, and they'll pick up loot and pick up boss bags and kill familiars or kill distractions. You can place them directly on ultimates, or you can have them roam the ultimate bar and fire something off every 30 seconds, or you can have them level up champions or even click damage. It really depends on how many you have and what you want them to be doing. When you have a few of them, having them on the field early on is good. Then I tend to let them roam the familiar bar. I only put them leveling up champions if I have enough to level up my whole party, which is when you can get into idle mode. Henry Loneman, can you give us a TLDR for pigments? I was away when they were added. Yeah, they're just permanent boosts to an item on a champion. So if you throw a pigment on someone, and I'm like, who has a pigment? Birdsong has a pigment. If I throw this pigment, it can only go on an epic item. If I throw the pigment on the item, I now have another permanent boost that is on that item. For support pigments, it's increased the damage of all champions by 300 or by 200%. Excuse me. They can go on any epic item on a champion, but it's based on tags. So we're going to see more supports than anything else. Yeah. And they're multiplicative with each other. So you can't put multiple on a single item, but you can put multiple on a single champion. One per item. And Septio, should I get Deacon with a time gate or wait for the event? I want that spicy speed boost. I mean, I guess it depends on how far their event is away. They're not the next event. I don't know. You can't get Deacon in an event. So yes, time gate them. Deacon was a year one champion. You can't get them out of an event. And Blivin wants to know what my speed team looks like and what do I generally do with them. My speed team is a automated Briv gem farming team, which is specific to my account. So it doesn't really help much for me to show them to you. It doesn't help you much for me to show them to you. But I can. because I set this up for a very specific adventure and with very specific champions. Hold on, I gotta load my core. Nope. What are you doing? Hold on. That's a Sergeant Knox. I gotta make a grand tour. That was the problem. Brave Gem Farm. Boom. Automated Briv gem farming is very account specific, so this is not, you can't just copy paste this formation. This is what mine looks like. Obviously I've got Briv, I've got Human for the speed, I've got Whittle for the speed, Shandy for the speed, Virgil for the speed, but then I've got Dragonbait for the damage boost at the end, and I use Naris as my brake, like a car brake, to stop me when I get where I'm going. This is how I generate, a million or two gems in between events. This is how I buy stuff, but it's because Briv can jump. I've got my Briv at a 4 jump, so I jump from 1 to 6 to 11, etc. And it just flies along like this, right? This isn't going to work because it is not tuned correctly, so this is going to be horrible. But that's my speed group, but that is not necessarily a generic speed group. I haven't built a generic speed group in a while. That's going to be it for today, folks. We've reached the end of our show. The song that we're going out on is Deacon's Tale of Doom. But yeah, Deacon was Founders Day year 1, so we're doing a little throwback song. You have to get Deacon out of a time gate now. Deacon's over here in slot 1. There's no more streams on this channel for the weekend. They'll be back on Tuesday. However, I will be streaming later on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. I stream Saturday afternoons. I'll be playing that Jedi game. If you want to come hang out, I need a different skin on Deacon. Yeah, Red Dragon. Come hang out and say hi. I also stream Idle Champions on Mondays and Wednesdays usually, as long as I have power and they're not cutting a tree off my house. So if I see you in an hour, hey, come stop by. You can find my link in chat. Hey. You can just click on my name and go to my channel. Otherwise, have a great weekend. I will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Confidence.